Welcome back to Cantina Talk. I'm here with Jared Holsizer.
I'm here with Ryan Shaw.
We just watched Season 2, Episode 7 of The Mandalorian.
Yes.
The name of it was The Believer. Interesting. Interesting name. What did you think?
I liked it. It was a good episode.
I agree.
More of a filler episode, but it wasn't as bad as some of the beginning episodes in the season.
Right. I like this kind of filler. I think that if you do it right, filler can be pretty good.
Yeah.
And I think that driving it towards a purpose, I think is kind of what made the difference here. To me, it made sense why they had to go and do this. Moff Gideon is not going to be easy to find. You can't track through hyperspace. You got to find a way to find him.
Yeah, you need the coordinates.
Right. And so they go back, spoilers for this episode. They go back and find Mayfield, who's from season 1, played by Bill Burr. I really like this character, man. I like his view. Because I kind of sat back, I was like, oh, finally someone that feels the way I do. I don't know, the New Republic and even the rebels sometimes, he says the line, he's like, someone's always being ruled by someone else, no matter who it is, and I like that. And I think that he pointed out some flaws in the our Mandalorians' ways. It's kind of stupid that your rule changes when you get
Circumstances changes.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you like his character?
I do. I think he plays a good role in The Mandalorian so far. I'm curious to see if we're going to see him again.
I really hope so.
In season 3.
Right. Yeah, I sure hope so. And I said this before. Anyone that knows Bill Burr's comedy, it's just Bill Burr being Bill Burr. He's just himself in this role, which is awesome. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's what Bill Burr would say if he was really in the Star Wars universe, which is kind of fun. Another thing, looking back on I watched the trailer for season 2. We haven't seen anything past the trailers covered only up to episode 5. They didn't show any of the second half of the season in the trailers. Yeah. So we have no idea what's coming, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, it's exciting.
Boba Fett got an upgrade.
Yeah, new paint job.
Nice, too, yeah.
It's clean.
It is, and he kept the bullet hole.
Yeah.
In the forehead, which I'm curious to see if we're going to get a...
Wait, what made that bullet hole?
In canon, we don't know. And in Legends, I don't know. So that's a good question.
But Beskar armor is supposed to be totally impenetrable.
Oh, you're right. Yeah. What could make that dent? Lightsaber? I mean, yeah, open a lightsaber right on the head. That'd be kind of a cool moment. Yeah, you're right. Beskar is invulnerable, which I liked the moment here when Mando gets in stormtrooper armor. He in his mind he acts like it's Beskar.
Yeah.
He's trying to block with the arm, and it's just shattering right through it. And he's like, "Oh, okay, that hurt." I like those moments.
Yeah, he's realizing he doesn't have his armor on, and what it's like to be not so invincible.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that I like that small things the show does that sometimes I catch and I go, oh yeah, that is probably how he would do that one thing.
Also, it kind of foreshadowed him using his new Beskar spear.
Right.
He picked up a little javelin from one of the pirates. Threw it at him.
Yeah, no, I kind of got Vietnam feels from this. Really? Oh yeah, it felt like the Vietnam with, the Congo they have, and kind of like the American War there, where, I mean, even especially that moment where they go through the camp and Mayfield just looks over and he's like, hey man, this is their home and we just came in and we're just wrecking shop here. That's how I feel. And then especially when you start seeing the explosions and then the napalm, pretty much a napalm strike that the TIE fighters did, which was, I'm not trying to be too crazy, too exaggerated, but that was one of my favorite moments in the show of the Mandalorian. That moment right there was maybe my favorite moment.
When the TIE fighters came in and blew up all the pirates.
100%. Not for shock value. Obviously, if you go shock value, I'm gonna give you the first time you saw the Grogu, or I'm gonna say Ahsoka, stuff like that. Thematically, I love the feel. I love when a show can make you go, thank God someone's here. Oh, that's the Empire. Oh, that's right. The Empire's saving us right now.
Yeah.
And then I loved that feeling of oh, the show got me. It tricked me on that one. And I was happy to see the Empire. Mm-hmm. And I see the view of thinking, in that moment, I was kind of if I was a stormtrooper, that I was raised in the Stormtrooper. I was taught that this is how things are, and I thought that I was being a good person, being a Stormtrooper. That moment's got to feel like a hell yeah kind of moment. Like, that's one for the troops. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. and in that moment, I was like, oh, like they're showing us perspective here that good guys coming in to save the day is someone else's bad guy on both sides. Yeah. And I really like that moment.
Yeah, it's very, very good, like, perspective changing for the viewers. Definitely.
Now, so I think, yeah, just a solid episode, nothing crazy here. I think I had one issue in the episode, and it bothers me, and the more I think about it, I hope that I don't look back on this episode and think of this specifically. Mm-hmm. It was our Mando taking his helmet off. It just didn't. It felt like I could see them trying to write it in, if that makes sense. Like, it felt forced.
Yeah.
What did you think of that moment? Explain it to me.
I didn't really like it. I mean, I feel like they could have changed some things about it. Like, right. They could have him take his helmet off, get his face scanned. Once the scan's over, put his helmet back on, so nobody else sees his face.
Right. If you haven't seen it, and I'll let you continue in a second. If you haven't seen it, pretty much our Mandalorian has to hack into a database that Mayfield can't go and hack into because someone he knows is in the room, and they would know his past.
Yeah.
So I got a couple problems here. First problem is, okay, Mayfield can't go in there because someone's going to recognize him. First problem is, they meet him, and that guy does not recognize him. Yep. So the stakes that you created when you wrote that scene do not exist.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. Because when they met, I kind of went, okay, maybe they're going to get in some trouble here because the guy's going to recognize him. The whole reason he couldn't go and do it himself. But no, that's not what's happening.
He didn't recognize
right.
him.
And then you get up to the console. Why is there a countdown on a face scanning console to a total like facility shutdown? Like, if you don't scan your face, the whole facility shuts down in 10 seconds.
I didn't notice that.
Well, it started counting down. Yeah. 10, 9, shut down in 7. Why? Like, yeah. And then next problem is, okay, so now you've weaved this story of why our Mandalorian has to take off his helmet. Okay, I'm even there for that. I don't like it, but I'm there for that. Okay, he takes off his helmet because he wants to save Grogu, and this is the only way, even though it goes against his creed. I kind of figured that moment was coming in the show. Really upset the way they executed it. But then when his face gets scanned, he's just in their database. That's how you have to scan any face.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And it doesn't check to see if you're a stormtrooper. Yeah. It just goes, oh, that's a face. That is a face.
We just need a face.
We need any face. You could have held up a picture of Emperor Palpatine with the eyes cut out and the lips cut out, and you're just giving kissy faces, and it'll let you in, and we just need a face. I don't know. That was like... Because then it just... And I'm sure that if you can read Orabish, the Star Wars language, I'm sure that it says something there, like access granted or something, but it still doesn't explain the fact that... Unless they later explain that Din Djarin was in the Empire, which does not make any sense, which is not true, then that moment, I did not like it. And ultimately I'm okay with it, but the underlying reason I don't like it is because I thought that moment, the Mandalorian taking his helmet off was going to mean more. Because if I'm being correct, he's never taken his helmet off on his own. No. It got taken off. It got taken off of him in season 1, right?
Yep.
When he was injured. So this is the moment the show has kind of been leading up to, in the terms of the face reveal, him growing to reveal his own face, right?
Yes. I think there was a moment where we didn't get to see his face, but he did take the helmet off.
Right, to eat. I think. Yeah. Which he has to take he has to take it off to eat, but I guess in public, in front of other people.
Yeah.
It felt like I didn't want that moment then. Like, right when it happened, I was like, oh, you're wasting this moment. You're wasting it. Yeah. And as much as I love the character of Mayfield, or Mayfell, or whatever it is, he's not going to be in the show every episode. I wanted this moment to be in front of a Boba Fett. That would have meant more, because Boba Fett would have gone, oh, wow. He really does he really wants to save this child. Yeah. Which I think they'll probably still do that moment later, in front of people he cares about, maybe in front of Grogu or something, but it felt to me like a wasted opportunity that was not written well and forced into an episode.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'm also trying to think, did they look at this episode and go, it doesn't, after it was filming with no face reveal, and then went, it doesn't have enough. We gotta go back and add a scene so this episode feels more like it means something. Because it just felt like almost like they're like, this episode's just kind of a filler episode, but if we give a face reveal, it will be more than a filler episode.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know.
I also want to look up a couple of things that I probably should have done before we started recording, which maybe if you're listening to this, drop it in the comments. Rhodanian, or whatever that steel was, or the metal, or the material. That was interesting. I'm sure that has ties to Star Wars deep somewhere, whatever it is.
They're probably using it for something.
Rhydonia. I was reading. Do you have your phone on you?
Yeah.
Will you Google? I was reading. Google what the Death Star was made out of, because I was reading the book from a certain point of view, and they go over the material that the Death Star was made out of, and the man hours it took to mine all of that. And I can't remember if it was Rhydonia or not. What is it called? Quandanium steel. All right, I guess that's not it. Oh well. So I'm sure that's got some ties. That's kind of been a tradition for me after these episodes, is to go in and go, all right, now let me learn a little bit more about what I just watched, because that's the fun in Star Wars, is I'm sure it just keeps going on and on. But I did like the episode. I just didn't like that one moment. And without that moment, I think that is a solid episode.
Oh yeah, that would have been a really good episode without that moment.
One more thing I want to ask you here. The moment where he is talking to Moff Gideon, and the last beat, he says, this child, he hits this hard. This child means more to me than you will ever know.
Yeah.
First off, I kind of went, why? Like, I because you like him, because you feel like you need to take care of him, or because he's technically a foundling? I
think he's formed a bond with him.
And
how many? You think it's been years in this?
I wouldn't think so. You think? It feels like 2 or 3 months to me.
Yeah, maybe.
Although
that also could be.
Boba got new armor, so they stopped somewhere on the way here, which I kind of want to see what happened there. Because I think last week we talked about getting just a full episode of them talking, and then the other half of the episode's them just fighting. Action. Yeah. And I'm hoping that we're still going to get that. I'm patient. But going back to what we were just talking about, which was, why the child means so much to him. To me, and I'm not trying to be a Debbie Downer on Star Wars, I don't buy it. And maybe it's because I can't see his face. And so every moment where he's just staring at the child, for me, I don't know what this staring means. But if I could see his eyes and I could see his facial expressions, maybe I would understand how much he loves this child. But when he said, and I understand him going, hey, Moff Gideon, you stole something of mine. This thing means a lot to me. I'm going to take it back. But it felt more like this thing, because Moff Gideon knows more than him. Yeah. And has for a while, because he showed him the Darksaber and said, hey, does this ring any bells from your past? So he obviously knows he was in the Jedi Order. And then he goes, this child means more to me than you will ever know. It assumes that Mandalorian knows more than Moff Gideon does.
I think it goes back to Ahsoka Tano, what she was kind of implying, that Grogu needs a leader, needs somebody that he's emotionally attached to, and he's emotionally attached to Mando the most because he spent the most time with him. And it also could be like a Force thing. Like the Force is making him feel these ways about Grogu.
Yeah, interesting. I think that I would totally be on board with that if you tell me that the last 2 episodes took place over the span of 8 months, and there was a lot of in between episodes after Ahsoka of them bonding.
Yeah.
Because you have the one scene before they get to the planet that of Ryloth. You have the one scene of them in with the little ball.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that's cute. But if you tell me that there's 6 months in between those 2 episodes where they grew, maybe a montage where you show them kind of like training every day and, doing silly things, I don't know, like getting along doing everyday tasks. You show a montage of, hey, it took them a long time to get here. Maybe I buy it a little bit more, but I just and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe other people feel the other way. That's, obviously maybe you do, and I think that's just kind of like how it hits with each individual, right? When he said it to me, I went, I haven't seen enough of you and the child getting along to believe it.
Yeah.
Well, I really enjoyed that episode. Yeah, and this is one that if I'm gonna do like an essential rewatch of The Mandalorian, I think I will throw in there.
Oh, I would too.
Not because it's essential to the story, but because it is awesome. I mean,
it's a good show, yeah. Good episode.
I definitely enjoyed it. All right. Well, we'll be back next week. We're also gonna stop. We're gonna do a little essay about all the Star Wars news that came out. Oh my lord. Mm-hmm. But until then, may the Force be with you.
Always and forever.